Ready? Ready? All right. Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:30, and I'll now call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on tonight's agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. I do have a couple changes this evening. Tom Robinson could not make it this evening. It's audit season at Town Hall, and Tom is busy with the audit, so I said we will pause on the monthly budget report, and he will be back in December to give us that. But we are in good shape financially. Revenue, he did say, is coming in relatively strong. So so that is item 8 will be crossed off, and the ARP funds, the ARPA funds, will become item 8 on the agenda, the new item 8, and we're going to have a new item 7, and that's the introduction of our new Public Works Director, Ryan O'Halpin, who is here. So that'll be item 7 on the agenda. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is the approval of the minutes from our regular meeting of October 19th, 2022. Has everyone been able to review those minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Would someone?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Thank you, Ralph.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sean. Any errors, changes, or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. Under communications and correspondence, this evening we have Colin Wallace here tonight from Boy Scout Troop 2, and Colin is going to be talking about a proposal for his Eagle Scout project. So I invited Colin here tonight to talk about it. Colin?
Good morning, please. Yes.
Hello, my name is Colin Wallace. I'm going to propose my Eagle Scout project of building bat houses at the reservoir. I talked with representatives at the department, or with the DEEP, about how to properly build and install bat houses, and have come to the design of one of these bat houses.
Colin, can you just pull the microphone up?
Oh.
A little bit? There you go. Thank you.
Sorry. To build one of these bat houses and install them in locations here at the reservoir. I know you probably can't see that, but they're at the reservoir.
How many total are you installing, Tom?
So I'm gonna build 6 total bat houses, but install them on 3 posts, so one on each side of the post. So there would be a total of 3 poles in the ground. So, any more questions?
Okay. So why'd you choose this project? What interested you about it?
Well, I like to go to the reservoir a lot, and I want to do something to help the environment there. And I figured bats are becoming more endangered, like the little brown bat and the big brown bat. So I wanted to do something to help them. So I figured I'd build some bat houses to help them create a better community, more safe community. So
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Where do you intend to get the material to put these together? What are you looking for in terms of how to come up with that?
So
Is that where you're coming? Are you coming for looking for funds, or?
no, I'm going to be fundraising myself.
Okay.
Be asking people. So I'm not asking for any funds, but I am.
I wasn't accusing you of that.
Ralph's not used to that. Normally, we get asked.
Yeah. So, but in terms of materials, I'll be going to Lowe's or Home Depot to ask for materials.
So describe how big a bat house is. What is it? How big is it? What's involved with it?
These are dimensions. It's about 2 feet wide, about 2.5 feet long, and approximately 4 inches wide. Bats don't need these bats don't really need a lot of space for them to hang off from. So there's not really a lot of space in between each corridor, but there's also gonna be like a mesh pad on the back of the panels so the bats can cling onto. With, it's painted darker so bats are be cold-blooded. So they needed more, they need warmth during the day. So the houses are painted dark so it can get more heat during the day.
Now, you said sunlight's important, right?
Yeah.
That's why you picked these locations?
Yeah, so I picked these specific locations because there is an ample amount of sunlight throughout the day. So
Do you want to pass the map so the select
yeah,
can
here.
see where you're proposing?
So there's the dam where the water is, and I'm gonna put one on the left side of the dam as you're coming up the road, and two on the right side of the dam.
The right side being as you look at the dam, so the wooded section to the right of the water body? is
Yeah,
where-
so there's the gate on the left,
Mhm.
you know, turn around. There's gonna be one bat house up on the hill right there.
Yeah,
And then two on the other side of the dam.
gotcha.
So I think it's important to point out that there is a trail at the reservoir that goes
Yeah.
around the reservoir. And so both of the locations for these bat houses are off the trail. It's not something that people will be walking right next to, right? Right now.
Inside the fence. Yeah, they'll be out of the way.
It'll be out of the way. And also, you've selected sites where any droppings would not be falling into the reservoir itself, but going down a hill in the other direction.
Right, so there's a bank there's like service roads on the side of the reservoir with banks leading downwards. I'm gonna put my bat houses on the side of the bank where the reservoir is. I'm gonna put it on the opposite side of the reservoir. So all the droppings that would roll down away from the reservoir.
Just so the Board of Selectmen knows, I did call the Department of Public Health about this. Although our reservoir is not in use any longer, it technically is still a backup. And so I wanted to make sure that this wouldn't jeopardize any permits or any licenses that we would need. And we did get the blessing of DPH on that, so I do want to point that out. And also, Ryan O'Halpin is here, our Public Works Director. I don't know, Ryan, if you have any comments on the project, or, you know.
I think it's gonna be a good project, and where he's gonna put these bat houses, it's not gonna affect our water supply, our emergency water supply, so, I'm all for it, and I think Tom's gonna do a good job.
And when do you, what's your timeline for installation?
Hopefully before the end of November or early December.
So that's quick, you gotta get
Yeah.
moving, huh?
Yeah.
Good. How they treating you, Colin, with your application process? I know I went through this with my son, and it can be tough.
Well-
They work you over good?
Yeah. They do a good job.
But when it's done, you've learned an awful lot about, not just about bats, but about project development, and you should be proud of yourself for doing this. They're hard, and they're meant to be hard, but they're a great project, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know you'll do a good job. I remember celebrating your brother, I think it was in 2020, December of 2020. He got his Eagle Scout. He was up here just 2 years ago. And I remember his project was, that was a great project he did, and I know your whole family, when you put your minds to something, it'll come out great, and we're excited to see it, so thank you.
Thank you.
So I don't, any other comments for Colin?
Nope, I think it's a great thing.
I don't think we need to take a vote. I just
No.
wanted to get the board's consensus that this is a good project, and we're happy for Colin, and thank you for doing this and helping out, and bettering the town. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very good. Correct.
We can move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience for public comment? And nothing in the chat? All right. So we'll move on to item 7, which is an introduction of our Public Works Director, Ryan O'Halpin. Ryan started in, what, mid-August? If you want to come up to the podium, Ryan. And I think most of the selectmen have gotten a chance to meet you already, but not everyone has. And so we thought it would be a good idea for you to come down, introduce yourself, and see if anybody has any questions for Ryan about any of the projects. You know, I know we have a long list that we're working on, and we're getting there.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been good. I've been in Portland about 2.5 months now, and I'm enjoying it. And I'm part of the community. Everyone's been real welcoming as far as residents, staff, everyone, and selectmen, and it's been good. I think only Mike, I haven't met you yet, and Bob, but yeah, good to meet you guys, and glad to be here.
Anyone have any questions for Ryan?
Yeah, I might as well start. So what are give us kind of a quick hit list of the projects you're working on that are filling up your time, and what do you think we should know about them?
The big one on the top of the list right now is the fuel pumps out at the garage. The fuel management system is hanging on by a thread. I think a pipe from underneath is the only thing holding it in, so looking to fast track that and hopefully get it going sometime in the winter. And then highway work, we're trying to fix all the puddling around town, so alleviate any ice issues. Highway maintenance, you know, just keeping up with all the vehicles. We got a new dump truck in today with a new plow, so that was exciting. And yeah, just keeping everything going day to day.
Juggling 20 things, huh?
Yeah. We got some big projects in the pipeline. Hopefully we could get some things moving soon. Connectivity project, hopefully drawings being sent over to the DOT this week for sidewalks down at Freestone going over to Riverside. That'd be a good project to get going. And other than that, yeah, just keeping up with the day-to-day, you know, answering the residents' issues and keeping up with the emails.
I think tomorrow we have 2 bids closing too, right? We got the senior center that closes, and
Correct.
also a snowplow?
Yeah, a new La Rochelle snowplow for one of our dump trucks. One of them got damaged and ruined last year, so we're replacing that. And then, yeah, the
That's
senior
the one.
center, it'll be exciting. Yeah, we get to see who wins that and get that off the ground over the winter.
The plows, that's for one of the bigger trucks, right?
Yeah, one of the bigger dump bodies. Yep.
So tell me, are you continuing to use Bob's board for the pins to show where there are?
So I did have to take it down because the walls got repainted over a month ago. So all the pins had to come out for the piece of paper to come down, and I am yet to put one up. So knock on wood on that one. Yeah.
So your transition with the old town director here was pretty smooth. He was very helpful, or I know he's could be difficult sometimes.
Yeah, no, he's great. Yeah, it's been good.
Just watch out for the fire chief. I hear he's tough too.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch out for him. Is Bob over there? I didn't see him sneak in. So. But yeah, Bob's been very helpful, filling in anything I got questions on. He's always coming by, answering whatever I need. So it's been helpful.
Thank you,
You're
Ron.
great. Thanks. It was nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
yeah. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Ryan. Oh, I'm not done. Oh, you're not done?
Oh,
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were quiet. We figured
Well, I was
you were
letting everyone else go first.
done. All right, pack a lunch.
Is there anything that you see that the town has been doing right or wrong, like things that you would like to see changed?
I don't have a deep opinion on that right now. I'm still getting acclimated. I couldn't really answer that
Okay.
fully at the moment.
How do you think we are?
Ask me in another month or two. You know, we'll get through the winter first, and then go from there. But I think everything's running smoothly. There's nothing major, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you think we are for staffing in all the different departments?
There's a couple departments where we're understaffed, but I think most are aware of it, and we do what we can. That's for sure. We take guys from the highway division and move them into water if we need to dig a trench, if we need to fix a valve. It'd be good to get out ahead of some things. Mainly in the water division is the one I could think off the top of my head.
Okay.
Other than that, I think everything else is running smooth.
I'm done, okay.
He does the same thing to me, Ryan.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, all set?
Yeah, now we're all
Alright.
set.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Alright, so next up on the agenda is a continuation of the discussion of the American Rescue Funds. And as Ryan alluded to, our fire chief, Bob Shea, is back again this evening with us. And so he's here to answer any questions we have regarding the purchase of a replacement for engine number 2. And there is a need and the potential use of the American Rescue Funds to fund that. So, Bob, thank you again for coming this evening.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. So any further questions on, or you just want to, rebrief? We've worked, since we met last, looking at some of the options that are out there, some of the pricing, that we originally talked about 2 weeks ago. And, the industry's changing. Prices are going up on, a monthly basis. So we are where we are. The truck estimate, we're using, as I spoke the last meeting, that we're using a spec that is very similar to what we currently run in town. And the reason for that is Glastonbury just, spec'd a truck and, signed a contract. So we have a very good idea on pricing. With that said, I spent the past few weeks with Fire Marshal Sajak going over those particular specifications. And of course, there's a few items on that $800,000 engine that, here in Portland, we don't use. Different things, the LDH cover for the back of supply lines and some different fittings and suction on the front of the truck and a whole bunch of other stuff as far as design. So, all in all, those prices today are probably a 33% increase, but that was prior to the chassis 7% increase that was brought forward as of November. So, I mean, it really, that 7% kind of washes away that decrease that we'd be cutting out of that particular type of spec. So we're still, at the 830 to 850 range for, an engine that kind of fits what we do here in Portland.
And you had indicated, Bob, last meeting that this really isn't like the old days where you can build to spec what you want. You pretty much have to take what they may have in inventory to build. So
Yeah,
do we
it's
have to
been-
kind of
it's
take
different.
certain
Yeah.
aspects of a truck that we may not necessarily want, but it might be advantageous for us to do that?
Yeah, it's difficult now, John. It's, I built a lot of trucks in 21 years, and we put a lot of apparatus on the road, and I've been part of other committees in other towns and shared some of the insight that we've had, and things have really changed. I mean, the builders are basically engineering what you would call a spec truck. And they're really engineering those trucks, they're preparing to build them, and they're putting the builds in line, and then those that are interested are putting their names on them. All the trucks that I've had the opportunity to basically bid and spec and put together in town, going way back, the ladder truck being one, we've spent over a year building those trucks. I mean, page by page, brakes, tires, lug nuts, I mean, everything from the frame up, the type of chassis. It's a very lengthy process, although you have to have a passion to enjoy it. And I'll tell you one thing, Ray Sajak has a passion for that. His attention to detail is above and beyond. But I've enjoyed, doing that with him over the years. But it's changed, so that takes away that, I don't know if you want to call it a custom process, but.
Sounds like it takes a lot of time away that you would have expended.
Yeah, and, we had the time, we would plan for that. You were able to build a fire truck in 6 months, now it's 520 days. I mean, that's the earliest average that we're seeing right now for all the builds that have been basically placed through multiple vendors over the past 6 to 7 months. I mean, it's just it's a flat-out material shortage, and I mean, you could see we were delayed on our tank for the tanker for 6.5 months. Just the tank. It's just a plastic tank. It's a poly. It was just very difficult to get, it's just the manufacturing side of it, not only the materials but the actual labor side of it, of getting those plants back up and running. And so we took delivery. Our tanker is in the state. It arrived last Friday. We're excited about that. We have a bunch of work to do at our builder's location here before we put it into service. So it's something that we're happy for, and hopefully get 25 good solid years out of that truck. But that was under 500,000, and if you think about it, it carries 2 guys and 3,000 gallons of water, and it has an aggressive pump on it because we meet the new standards. But other than that, it carries water, and that was just under $500,000. So I mean, trucks are getting expensive. It's difficult to see those numbers.
Are there trucks, like you said, they're lined up, they're spec'd up, and they're lined for somebody to put a name on it? Are there some trucks in that line right now that we could throw our name on that you know of?
Yeah, some of the trucks down in Florida through Pierce, that's, they're doing that. Those prices are probably out of our range. Those are more of a custom truck. Spartan is producing as many chassis as they can. We're pretty familiar with Spartan chassis. They probably produce at least 90% of the chassis on fire trucks. Otherwise, you're basically going custom, where everything would be built at one place. So Pierce is, pretty well known for that. South District just received 1,000-gallon engine, 900,000 last month. They received it. So, prices are there.
I know this is probably a silly question, but if you identify a truck that would fit our needs and we can afford, once you put your name on that truck, is the price locked in?
Yeah, they lock those contracts in because they're able to buy all the materials, is what they can get. They can lock in. We've seen some changes, but even with our tanker, you may think about when we spec the tanker and put that into paper. That was almost 17 months ago, and they held the price on that. So that's the good thing with these contracts. There's contracts out there that could save us money. Talked about HGAC. There's many builders that are on those contracts. So basically, we want a specific spec. We're hoping to be able to kind of use Glastonbury's and make those changes. We simply don't have the manpower and the time to spend 6 or 7 months trying to build a truck. So
and that time you spend, the price of the truck is gonna increase.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about. We spoke to some of the dealers last week, and their prices are fixed now, but they've already been told that their increase will be January. They'll have a new price book in January, not only for the chassis portion of it. And when we talk about chassis being Spartan, that's the drivetrain. So you're looking at increases by Detroit, Cummins, depending on how you're gonna, power plant that particular truck. Here, unfortunately, because of our hills, we usually have to put a little more horsepower into our motors to be able to carry the water that we have to carry. I mean, cities are smaller trucks. They carry less water. They primarily have almost 100% municipal water, so they're not too concerned about carrying the extra load. We can't go below the 750. We need to kind of carry that to make our way through town and assist in the country where we don't have water, and hopefully the tanker can do. The pump on the tanker is going to be a great asset to us. It's a 1,250 gallon per minute pump. The 33-year-old tanker is a 500 gallon per minute pump, and that's a standard that NFP made, that you have to. That's the minimum size pump now, because they want you to be able to use your apparatus for suppression, no matter if it's considered a tanker and/or an engine. So, I mean, the ladder truck doesn't carry a lot of water, but it's got a 2,000 gallon per minute pump because that's what it does. It's an aerial truck to flow enough water for aerial operations. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are. I mean, what we would hope is that if we were able to do this, we would lock in as soon as we can. you know, we're gonna have to do an awful lot of work, through December to try to lock in before maybe a price change in July, but, you know, that would be up to you and how, you know, what you feel is important on the plate to spend rescue plan money on, or basically taxpayers' money on either a lease, a bond, or capital improvements in July. But I know those prices will increase, and, you know, we'll have to look at those if it goes, you know, that far. But we hope to lock into, you know, I would say that 850 would be a maximum number. We shouldn't be building a truck for more than that. We're gonna have to cut back. If the trucks are becoming that expensive, or the engines are becoming that expensive, we're gonna have to find a way to do without some of the stuff. You know, I don't know. You know, it's tough on a volunteer department. We put 6 seats on it to put personnel in it, because you're not sure what's gonna respond. You know, you look at a career department, and they run 3 people on an engine because they're a shift, and they have 2 engines following them wherever they're going. So, you know, they can build things a little differently, because they're confident on their staff. So that helps. That helps. You know, I know Middletown has an engine. I think it was purchased in 2018. I think it was about 700,000 or less, a little less than that. This is 2018. It's 500 gallons. It's a shorter wheelbase. Carries 4 personnel. Much smaller cab. That was built for the city to be able to get around those roads. And so Glastonbury, more like us.
Yeah.
Westfield, portion of Middletown, much different. Build their apparatus for more personnel, bigger motors for their hills, carry much more water because of their water system out on that section of Middletown. So
As soon as you talked about the volume of water and the extra engine, all I immediately pictured is the hill going up by Cox Waterfall. I can just imagine having
it's a
to
push.
haul it up that hill.
Yeah, that was critical for our tanker. We had to put a power plant on the tanker that we knew that could, you know, run those hills up there carrying 3,000 gallons of water. So it's pressing. You know, the tanks are poly, so that helps. When we refurbed the tanker way back, after we had that unfortunate rollover, you know, we put a poly tank on that, and that really, that truck gets up and goes now, because we took all that steel weight off of it. So that's the new technology moving forward. The pumps are a little different now. They're using new piping that's lighter. So overall, the trucks are able to, they're still governed. Like, nobody wanted to drive this truck back from Illinois. This was governed at like 62, so they had to hire somebody to do that. So, get a lot of volunteers, yeah.
So when you go out to look for the truck, you're gonna have, you know, if we're looking for something that's already being processed, these are the minimum things we need, and this is our wish list that we would like to have on it.
Yeah, I don't even know if we can do a wish, Bob. I mean, I think we have to get down and dirty to what exactly we need. Because I think we're gonna have to just go to what we need, because the prices are just gonna be too big.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you're talking, you know, just one item alone, which would be a hose bed cover, is 10 grand. It used to be, I think I used to spec it out 15 years ago, like 2,500. It's 10,000 because it's aluminum.
Yep.
And it's just a process of the materials. So yeah, I think we would have to really refine a truck that we're comfortable with. Right now, you know, we're looking at 2 or 3 different, they're all on Spartan chassis, so it doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of who builds them for the best price. And that's what it's gonna come down to. We'll have to go out and look for, you know, 3 or 4 vendors that might be interested in taking a stab in pricing a specific truck that looks like this, on a Spartan Metro chassis with 750 gallons of water, cross delays, everything that we would put on it. You know, the power plant, after that, you know, you gotta pick the wheels out.
Yep.
Tires. But so that's the good thing. We can walk off, you know, try to work off another spec, but the tough part about that is you do have some particular areas that you want to make sure that they're going to function for us here, you know. Tough, yeah, it's a tough place to be in though. I mean, I don't really, it's everywhere. Unfortunately, the numbers are kind of just skyrocketing. And then, you know, we talked about Glastonbury's 800,000. That was a good number, but they bought 2. It's a $1.6 million purchase. They bought 2 duplicate engines, so they got a discount. A little bit of a discount on that 800. So, you know, good for them. But so we're still working off of that number. We think we can still do that if we have to. it's all timing. Changes by the month, so.
So, what's everyone on the board thinking about this? If we have a couple options, we could, if this is something that the board feels strongly about, we could put a public hearing for our upcoming meeting on the 16th. We wouldn't have to take action unless, you know, the board wanted to, but we could move to a public hearing if you guys wanted to, or we can look at alternative ways to fund this. We could, you know, look at other uses of the American Rescue Fund. We don't have to make any decision. No, just open up to discussion. What's everyone thinking?
So, as I stated last week, I thought it was falls under what are the more critical things that I look at that the fund should be used for. So I believe it's a good use of it because you're looking at a situation, if you're going to talk about trying to come up with some leasing program, then we're talking about July. And how much is that truck gonna increase in cost between now and July? And that's just money that, additional cost that goes out that we're gonna have to pay on top of the leasing, when you lease, the fees that will come with leasing. So, I think it's a good way. I'd like to see the funds, I think this was mentioned, to be used across different, so that different departments can benefit from these, from these funds. And certainly, I think this is a valuable way to help out our fire department.
Brian, just for informational for everybody, obviously Tom's not here tonight. What do we have left in ARPA funds? And when do they have to be expended by?
So my understanding is that the funds have to be allocated for by the end of 2023, so December of 2023.
13 months.
And then we have to receive everything by the end of 2024. So, but I don't, that may change due to the supply chain issues that everyone's experiencing. I don't see that staying. I see, I don't see the federal government saying, oh, you bought a fire truck, we're sorry, you can't use that money now. I think, people are gonna understand and they're gonna have to change that.
And what's the total that we still have to play with money-wise?
Let me.
More than is necessary for this truck, right?
Yeah, so if we were to fund this truck and, well, we also have another item on the table today.
That's why I'm asking that question.
So if we were to just fund this, we would have $488,574.08 left, without including the next item that we're gonna talk about.
Okay, yeah.
So, give or take, there's a chance it may be more based on how we might get some reimbursement, but I can't guarantee that.
Thank you.
I think we're, and you know how I feel, and I feel this way as a taxpayer, no one wants to spend $800,000 on one particular item. We always talk about wants and needs. And as we discussed before, and I've discussed this with Ralph before, this is a need for the town, whether you own, you rent, you're on public water, or you're on a well. I feel that at this point, the best way to finance this without going to the taxpayers, because we know there's gonna be some pretty large items coming up in the next few years in capital.
Including another truck from what we heard at the last meeting.
Well, just if we go into our water, if we get into that, if we get into, you know, what's going on on the Board of Ed side, I mean, there's all of that. I just feel that this would be the way to go about this particular purchase at this time. And that's all I have to say, and that's all I'll say again about it.
I think this is the best way for the town to fund it. Like Bob's been saying, we don't know how much it's gonna increase by the time we get to the next budget season to July of next year. And interest rates just went up again. We don't know what the interest rates are gonna be, and that's gonna cost us even more. If we can pay for something that's essential to the town and it's not being a burden to the taxpayers, I think this is the best way to use the money at this time.
I agree with both of you guys.
I'm on with everything you all said, I completely agree. It's hard to, it seems like you're throwing all your money into one pot, but as Sean said so eloquently, I mean, this really is an item that benefits everybody, no matter where you fit in across the town. And if we don't use the funds for this, that's a big bump to the taxpayer coming down the pike. So it makes sense to me.
I'm on board with this, getting a new fire truck and everything, as long as it fits within the qualifications of the ARPA funds, the way to be financed. If we check all the boxes, everything pans out the way it should, I'm on board with it.
So, in that case, and it sounds like there's consensus from the board to at least move forward to a public hearing, I think that we should hear from the public as well and schedule that public hearing date for November 16th, and I think we should do it at 7:10 PM. That should give us enough time. We may have another public hearing depending on our next item, but with that, I mean, if someone could make a motion to have a public hearing on November 16th at 7:10 PM for the purpose of using the American Rescue Plan funds for the purchase of a replacement of engine number 2. Would someone like to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion. I'd like to make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for November 16th at 7:10 in this location to discuss using American Rescue Plan funds to purchase our next fire engine for up to $850,000.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? So thank you, Bob. We'll have a
Thank you.
public hearing at 7:10 on November 16th, 2 weeks from today, and that the public's invited to comment and to give us feedback on whether or not, this is appropriate use of the funds. I think it is, but we'd like to hear from the public. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Bob. All right. The next item under the use of the American Rescue Funds is something that I had talked about with this board previously, and I invited our Senior Center Director, Lynn Tracy, is with us virtually. You can see her on the screen there. Hi, Lynn. And I also want to point out that we have two of our Senior Center drivers here this evening. We have Jack Irwin and Joe Carta, right? And so they're here as well. But Lynn, I wanted to go to you, and if you could kind of, give the board a summary of, where we are with our current vehicle that is, I believe it's a 2009 year model that was donated to us by the American Red Cross. Is that correct?
that's what I was under the impression when I was reading some history. We have a van that we use, which is a 7-passenger van, which we have consistently with us, and it allows for one wheelchair user at a time to be in the van, which is a problem when we're trying to book medical rides. And also it has about 72,000 miles plus on it, and we've accumulated many miles since we've had it due to the increased need of medical rides. We also have a shared bus with Cromwell, and we get that every month for 2 weeks. And the issues we run into is that for those 2 weeks, there are sometimes issues where the bus is unavailable, catalytic converter issues or other issues where when it's time for Portland to get that bus, it's in the shop for some reason, getting a windshield repaired, or it's just a never-ending issue. So then our passengers are struggling because they're scrambling to reschedule their rides, and had an increase in need for rides since COVID, since the pandemic. Many more wheelchair users and walker users than we've had before, and that's the thing that we've seen change. So the need for a 12-passenger bus and coinciding with that van, it has been substantial, and we're running into, a lot of issues where we have to refuse rides, and we don't want to do that, but we often can't. For those 2 weeks when we don't have that other bus, we have to refuse a lot of rides because it's not possible to bring 2 passengers who are wheelchair users at the same time in that van. So that's what we're up against right now.
So I do want to talk a little bit about the condition of that 2009 bus. I went on a little field trip over the summer with Jack and Joe here, and they took me around Portland, and I do have to say it's a bumpy ride. And not that our roads aren't in good condition, Ryan, but that bus has, I think its best days are behind it. So I don't know, as drivers of the well, it's a van. Do you guys want to come up and talk about the condition of it, or how you feel?
If Lynn doesn't mind.
Oh, I don't mind.
Go, step up to the podium.
Yeah, come on up, guys.
Yeah, I remember my glasses. Go ahead, Jack, you go first. You want me to go first? I'll go
No,
first.
that's all right. I guess seniority-wise. First of all, my name is Jack Rowan. I've been part-time with the town and the senior center since the end of 2009. And I'm the guy who went to Hartford to pick up this vehicle that Lynn's talking about. And when I picked it up, it only had about 1,900 miles on it. That was donated by the Red Cross. It's been running fantastic, but right now, I feel, I'm going to use my words, expertise to a certain extent. I'm a CDL instructor. I've driven charter buses, 56, 57 passenger buses all over the country. And I am retired from the state of Connecticut, Department of Corrections and law enforcement. And this vehicle is becoming unsafe. Like I showed Ryan, we have an excessive amount of body rust that's developing. The first step into the vehicle is starting to rust out. The door on the unit is totally rust out. The window in the window is made out of plexiglass and is totally cracking. And I was told already twice this year that it is not replaceable unless you want to spend about $5,000 to $7,000, I was told, and put in a solid piece of glass, which is going to be a waste of money because the frame is going to rot out before the glass breaks again. I've been doing this since, like I said, the end of '09. I totally enjoy it. I've met a lot of wonderful people. And I married into the town. I've been here a little bit over 30 years now. I'm married into the Jarzabek family. And I enjoy this town. I just recognize a lot of you people by face, Ryan by name, and I'll admit you other people by face. This young lady here, I met her on a road up by her house because I used to drive to work, and I was slow up in uniform talking to the Larsons, and she would be there to join our conversation. So, I mean, I love it. But people are starting to complain to me also about the way it rides, the noise, and they want to know, even from me, when can we get it replaced? And I have told them they will have to talk to Lynn, because Lynn has the statistics and everything. And personally, myself, I think Lynn is doing a fantastic job in trying to get us another van, because since she's been here, I've seen a better improvement, a better way the senior center is working, and a better way for us to work with the seniors for transporting. I'll let Joe take over before I get out of control.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Carta, and I've been driving, I think, for 3 years now. And I just wanted to say a few things about the van. First of all, I have to say that since Lynn's been here, we've had an increase in the number of seniors that have joined. So that also puts an increase in the number of rides that we need. The medical rides are probably one of the most important things for the seniors, because many of them have no other transportation. They've either turned in their license or they don't drive any longer. So this is very important. And not only that, when you just think, if one of yourselves, if you had to go to Hartford Hospital and drive there yourself and find a place to park and then walk to a doctor's office, and then if you were 87 years old or something, you know what a burden that would be. So this is really a great service. The van that we have now, because of the location of the wheelchair lockdown, it's basically behind the driver and a little bit to the passenger side. So if you have to transport more than one person, once a person is in that van and locked down, you can't get around that person to let other people sit behind him or her. So you'd have to, do this, the thing where you'd have to pick up the people that don't need the lift first, let them sit in the back, then pick up the person with the wheelchair, and then the logistics just get all messed up when you're trying to do more than one person. Jack talked about the doorway. The driver's door is rusting out. But the door that you let the passengers in only has a small hand grip. So you have to try to pull yourself up with one hand, which is very hard to do for a senior. And once you're in, if you're walking, there's the lockdowns that are on the floor that are a trip hazard, because the walk area is probably 2.5 feet. So you have to, I have to remind everybody when they come in, please watch your feet, don't trip on this hazard. The van that we share with Cromwell has 2 wheelchair hookups, and they're both in the rear of the bus. And the lift is also in the rear, so that lets people get in and out. I worry about the safety of this van. If you had 3 people in the back and picked up someone in a wheelchair, and God forbid there was an accident, those people in the back, their only way out is through the emergency exit in the back. They can't get around that wheelchair person. So that's something that we have to think about. And as Ryan can attest, there's a rattle behind the driver that no one knows where it's coming from. It's inside the body of the van. It's below the window, and it sounds like a window rattling, but it's between the outside and the interior wall. So I don't know if something's broken in there or what it is. Let's see. Yeah, I think that covers just about everything that I wanted to say. And because of the bad condition of the van, I think that we have to be careful for the town of Portland as far as liability is concerned. I know in the wintertime, that door where the people come in, when you shut it, snow will blow in. You know, and it's extreme. I leave the heat on, and Jack probably does too, full blast during the winter, and I'm still freezing. You know, so.
I have a new policy also, when I'm operating that van. The bolts will come loose on the door and on the handle area, and I check them every time now I get in the vehicle. And if I'm doing a second trip that day, I will stop by my house after I refuel up. I live off of Michael Drive. And I'll go in my driveway and I'll bring out my tools and everything, and I'll tighten up those bolts. Because number one, we don't have enough mechanics in the garage, and they don't have the time working on big trucks and everything. And they don't wanna hear about trying to tighten a bolt up. And I totally stand behind them 100%, because if we do need something, those guys in that garage are the first to come forward to help us. And I can vouch for that 110%. They've been there for me in all the years. But again, I lube the joints, I tighten bolts. Joe mentioned about the door. I've gotten a wrench and a bolt wrench and reset the door on the bottom. It closed a little bit tighter now, but you do still get a draft coming in. And like he said, winter is coming. God forbid if there's some ice there and a passenger hops on it. I don't want to do the paperwork.
Yeah, and if I could add a few things to what Joe and Jack had said, and by the way, we're so lucky to have such great drivers. So thank you, Joe and Jack, and Al, who's not there tonight. We have a lady who was on her way to her cancer treatment. She has to have 2 back-to-back. And the van broke down while she was on her way to Manchester. So she had to hurry up and try to reschedule all these necessary treatments for that same week so she could have the 2 back-to-back cancer treatments. And then there was one other lady who also has cancer who had said she does not feel safe in that van at all. She feels like she's taking her life in her hands when she gets in that van. So those are just 2 things I wanted to add to Joe and Jack's statement.
Do we have anybody have any questions of us?
What year did you again say you picked up the?
2009?
What year did you pick up that van?
It's a 2009. It was around near July of '09 when I picked that vehicle up.
Thanks.
We should see if they have another one, 2020.
Those vans are now outdated,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Can't even get parts for them, I found out a couple months ago.
What's the frequency of passengers you have? Do you do a lot of like single passenger runs, or do you have like 4 or 5 passenger runs at a time?
In that particular vehicle?
And yeah, I guess at any given day, like how many passengers will you have
The
at the
vehicle
same time?
that we're talking about now that belongs to the town, you can take an average of 1 or 2, but like Joe said also, if we're taking a wheelchair person.
No, but what do you take on average per day?
Oh,
I'm
per
not,
day.
yeah,
Rides,
yeah.
you mean total?
Rides, I
Yeah.
vary anywhere from 1 to 3, and I think
Lynn can probably give you the.
Lynn has got probably the more paperwork statistics on it.
And I just want to say before you start, Lynn, since Lynn's been there, we've had to cut down the rides. And I think we've probably cut them by 30 to 40%. I don't know. I think Lynn has the numbers, right? So I work probably 4 days a week, and it's usually like 2 people a day. I'm sure Jack does the same. She's tried to split up the hours between the 3 of us.
Yeah. So I can just go over real quickly, the rides, just comparing July 21 to July 22. We did, let's just do hours, those rides. There were 68 rides in July of 21, we had 109 in 22. And in August, we had 127 in 21, we had 127 in this year. September was 126. Now we have to make sure we don't go over a certain number, so we're at 106. 106 rides a month, and in October, we did 111 rides this month, as opposed to 151 last year. We're trying to keep it within a certain number. And so we went from doing about 208 hours in April of this year, and we're trying to get it down to about 118 to 130. 118 is the magic number. It's difficult to keep it there, but we have a lot of ride refusals lately. The most ride refusals we had ever was this month. We had refused 14 rides in October.
I guess my reason for my questioning is the 12-person passenger van with the 2 wheelchairs. Is it necessary to have 12 seats in it? If I think it's like too big. Like, although is that what it comes with the 2 wheelchairs? Like, do you need less seats? Can you get away with like 5 seats and 2 wheelchairs?
No, because we do often also shopping rides and leisure rides, because that's part of what we do, and we cut down on those, but we do often bring 12 passengers to the theater, to, well, they go everywhere. They go to Kent, they go out to dinner, they're going to see the lights. It's a part of their social, and I provide 2 to 3 rides a month social, and they're packed. They go out to lunch, and we do jam everybody in there, and there's always a waiting list, because they were quarantined in 2020, and in 2021 they wanted to get social again, and they were used to, in 2019 and prior years, going out much more than they do now. And Jack can tell you more about that, but we offer about 3 or 4 social rides a month, and they really enjoy that.
Lynn, this is John Dillon. I think it was Kent Falls, you went recently. Yeah. I saw it on Facebook. My aunt was in the group. But there were a number of people. Did they all go on the van together?
Yes.
So that like a group of maybe, what, 10 people or something like that?
They ask for more. They're asking me for more. And I keep telling them I'm doing what I can, but we also have to really be mindful of the medical rights. But I do put, we find out statistically which days in the month are typically a lower medical ride need, because there are days where it's just heavy with medical rights, and then there are days where it's typically not so busy, and that's when we'll provide for them to go. They're going to go see the lights in the evening. They go, they're just really excited to get out and do things again.
And to answer Mr. Hernandez's question about the size of the bus, Lynn has to also figure out when she schedules, for large groups, when we have the Cromwell bus. So if we had our own bus, you could schedule any time during the month if we had a 10-passenger bus. So, okay. And they're really, it's that bus that we share with Cromwell is a lot better than this van. This is a van. It's a van that they put a roof on, basically. So the bus is a bus.
And just to add to what Lynn mentioned about like Kent Falls and taking the seniors out and what they enjoy, I did that trip for her for Kent Falls, and the seniors were flabbergasted. They enjoyed it. And just a week before that, I did a full bus load, 12 fitting on all seats, and they had 5 more that wanted to go. But I couldn't put them in unless I put 2 wheelchairs in the back, which is illegal to carry a non-legal person for that wheelchair. So I had a total of 12 passengers right to capacity, and they went to the Iverton Theater and dinner. And that's what a lot of them are looking for. And like Lynn said, we'd like to do more, and also with the medical. People are asking for medical.
And you only have to be 50 years old to join the senior center. So if you guys want to go for rides or something,
seniors. Oh, okay.
I mean, Ryan,
Ryan,
I
you
gotta
can't
give
go.
Ryan credit. He rode in that van very nicely.
I did, I got a head start. But I do want to say, you know, I've heard from a lot of seniors, and I do want to thank Lynn, who's here, and what a good job that she's done trying to manage the hours. The Board of Selectmen increased the budget for the senior center rides this year, only $500, but we did increase the budget. We did increase also for gas as well. Unfortunately, what we've seen, well, not because it's become so popular that we've come out of COVID and our seniors are relying on this service. And all I hear is what a great job that our drivers do. The seniors love these guys, and they do a terrific job. And so because of that, the demand has increased with this. And I believe that, you know, this is a service that we need to provide our elderly in town, and they deserve a bus that, you know, they can get around safely in as well. And so that's why I wanted to invite Lynn here this evening, as well as Jack and Joe, just to attest to the fact that there is a definite need for this in the town of Portland. And I can attest, I've heard the rattle, I've felt the vibrations, and yeah, I don't know, and I'm you know, still on the younger side. I don't know. If I had older bones, I think it would be even more rattling, you know?
Luckily, the driver's seat is pretty cushioned.
And we just remember, the older you get, it's only a number. It's only a number, and I'm enjoying number 77.
And thank you for all your years, driving, Jack. Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Al, who's here as well.
So Ryan, we talked about a larger van. Has any homework been done on the vans that are out there and what they cost? And
Well, when you say the vans, we've been looking at a bus is
Okay.
what we've been looking at, and Lynn did some research as well, and also I also did some research with Tom on this, and if you see the price tag of the bus, and here I'll pass this around. I did print out. This is what we're talking about, and this is the price. So if you want to, this is what it looks like. It's
that's similar to like what we share with Cromwell?
Exactly. It's very similar to what we share with Cromwell. And when I talked to Tom Robinson about this, because right now the quote that we have is about $114,000 right now, give plus or minus. And we checked around because Tom was in shock, because just a few years ago that price was significantly less. And like everything else, the cost of these buses has skyrocketed, and it's not, you know, it's not cheap, but at the same time, you know, I do think it's an appropriate use of the American Rescue Funds for this. So that's why, you know, I brought it to the board, but I want to hear what you guys think, and you know, it's, you know.
Do we know if it's diesel or not?
That's what I was gonna ask.
What's that?
Is it diesel?
Is that a diesel or gas?
Actually, I don't know. Is it diesel or gas?
Gas.
There's your gas.
It's gas, okay.
Yeah, even our old ones were gas.
Okay.
But that would affect next year's budget for your fuel if it was diesel. A lot.
That's what they say, you get better mileage on diesel. so I
Yeah.
don't know.
About when you pay 3 times the cost per
Right.
gallon, right?
It's, yeah, trust me, I know I'm going through that now,
They got you coming, they got you going.
Right.
but
Cool.
you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm on board with this, so if you wanna bring it to public hearing, I'm
Yeah.
good with it.
I agree.
That's what I was gonna say, it's one of those things where we need, you know, you look at the price on that, and was looking at a new pickup the other day, and that's $70K, and
It's
I'm like,
crazy.
you know, it's nuts, so it's what it is.
Now, we have a really great senior center in this town
Right.
for Portland folks. You know, and they've been there their entire life. Now is the time they should enjoy themselves. And, you know, is it, like Lynn said, and you guys said, as important as it is to be able to get multiple folks that are wheelchair bound on there and still have it safe, we can't forget that the other benefit of the senior center is just to get people out, get them with their friends again, and get them out having a good time, and that's as equally important as far as I'm concerned. That's for your mental health and other
It's
things.
amazing how enjoyable it is for them too. I was really surprised when I first started bringing people around, you know, how thankful they are that the services, we talked one time about, well, instead of $5, let's make it $10. And they said, we don't care, you know, but like Ryan said, the $5 is a good fee, you know, because there's some people that can't even afford that. So,
No, I'm in, Ryan.
So you just need
Yeah, I think if someone would like, I was thinking that we could do the public hearing for this at 7:20 PM on the 16th.
All
And
right.
so if someone would make a motion to move this to a public hearing, and to use
most senior person
November
on the board
16th at
should.
7:20 PM, and to use the American Rescue Fund to purchase a senior center bus. Can you make that motion?
I'll make it if you want.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
I propose that we move this issue to a public hearing. The discussion of purchasing a senior citizens bus. I'm gonna say what we talked about here, estimated not to exceed $120,000. To be held at 7:20 PM on November 16th.
Is there a second?
I'd make a second.
Thank you, Sean. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Lynn. And so,
Thanks,
and so
Len.
this is, so we'll move to a public hearing. We'll hear from the public and, you know, we'll see how, and then we can take potentially action at the Board of Selectmen meeting on this proposed resolution that I did give to the Selectmen this evening. So, thank you all. That's great. So with that, we can move to appointments to boards and commissions. You got any appointments?
No.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I have a couple appointments to bring up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is to, I'd like to put forward John Flynn to take a full position on the Inland Wetlands Commission, which has been woefully short of members.
That's great.
He has, I believe he has an environmental background, so I think it's in line.
And he's a long-time Portland resident.
I'll have to talk to him. I don't think I know we need it, so that's great.
Well, he's John, but he goes by Jeff.
Jeff, yeah.
Jeff Flynn?
Yeah.
Oh.
He coached basketball for kids years ago.
Oh, CYO, right?
Yeah, CYO.
Oh, I remember him, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Flynn.
Oh,
He goes.
Isinglass Hill, right?
yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I think I know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, he's to be a really good fit.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, John. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Okay, so the second one is Deb Calulas is an alternate on Youth Services Advisory Board, and Amy Millardo stepped down a few months ago. And we were looking to move Deb up from an alternate to a full position.
I think Amy was a registered Democrat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay. Is there a second?
I'd make a second.
Thank you, Sean. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That's it? All right, cool. Thank you. I'm so glad, because, and I think we still need
Yeah, we're
one
still-
more on the inland wetlands?
I
or-
believe so.
I think we
Yeah.
might be still short.
Yeah, we have to,
Trying.
and I think we might have someone, right? We might have someone for inland wetlands? I don't know. I hope.
I've been talking to a lot of people
Yeah.
because of telling them that's,
Yeah.
we need to get people involved.
You know, but we thank everyone who volunteers their time, because it's so important for these boards and commissions, and we need the volunteers. So if anyone's watching that's not volunteering in a board or commission, please reach out to one of the selectmen.
Or Ryan will be calling you.
Be knocking on doors, looking for volunteers. So we'll move on to refunds of excess payments. Bobby, would you like to?
Sure, why not? I have a motion for a refund of excess payments for Ian Snow, $84.83.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Holly Russo, $2.39.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Lawn Monitor LLC, $27.77.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Carol and Frank Winiski, $13.50.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payment, Ally Financial, $634.20.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for refund of excess payments, Laura Batondo and Robert Chapman, $58.16.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion refund of excess payment, Financial Serve Vehicle Trust, $1,157.65.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Toyota Lease Trust, $575.65.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. I think you can do them all together, Bobby.
That was one thing?
Yeah.
Thank
you can
God.
read them all, I think. So,
All right.
There's a lot of them.
Motion for refund of excess payments for Toyota Lease Trust, $591.58, $705.31, $257.57, $186.59, and $512.87.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you, guys. All right, we'll move on to status reports. I have a few things that, and I know I'm probably gonna steal your thunder right off the bat, but
That's okay.
I just I wanna just thank everyone who was able to attend our Halloween on Main this past Friday. It was, all right, there were a lot of kids out here. There were a lot of parents, a lot of cool costumes. Selectman Dylan, I didn't even recognize when he came up to see me. He scared me. But it was a really great event. It was great to see so many families out enjoying themselves, and so that was nice to get back to the full force of a Halloween on Main. And then on Saturday morning, I attended the 5K race that Parks and Rec put on, and that was a great event. We had over 100 runners at the event, and we also had a lot of competition. I think there was cross-country meets going on. There were other races and other sporting events. So to get over 100 runners, I think was a great success, as well as the Monster Mash was, where's the Monster March. The March.
I believe.
Yeah, the Monster March was after, so thank you to Jesse Ravicki for doing, and Michelle Donahue, who worked on the Monster March, as well as Andy Dione, who helped out with the race, and they also helped out with the Halloween on Main. And so there are some other events coming up. I just want to point out that Veterans Day will be coming up on the 11th. That's next Friday. So every year we do a ceremony at 11 a.m. at Town Hall at the Veterans War Memorial. So I hope to see the selectmen there. It's always a good event to honor our veterans, as well as the breakfast is back that the American Legion puts on. That is going to be this Saturday, and it's going to be from 7:30 to 10:30 at the American Legion. So looking forward to going down and getting some omelets down there on Saturday. So I hope to see you guys there as well. And then also we have our Veterans Day dinner, which is back again, thanks to Millillies, who is, and Sevi over at Millillies has been sponsoring this event for many years as a way to, to give thanks to our veterans. And tickets are available in the town clerk's office. For veterans and their spouses that would like to attend. So that's another great event, and we're looking forward to that. Also, there's the fire Company, number one, will have their pancake breakfast on Sunday. So breakfast is covered in Portland this weekend. I do want to point out Ryan is our Public Works Director is here. We have leaf pickup, right, beginning Monday, November 28th. So make sure that you have all your bags by the curb by the 27th, and that's in paper bags, right, Ryan? Not.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Standard paper bags.
Great. So I know I got some raking to do. So I got some work to do. Other things I want to mention. I haven't. We launched our official Town of Portland mailing list. Or email list, I should say. And there's a link at portlandct.org. You can sign up for it. I think you can even, if you text Portland CT to, let me give you the.
It's on the website.
Yep, 22828. If you text Portland CT, all one word, you can, you'll get a text back and you can enter your email address and you can sign up for our mailing list. And we're gonna use this for potentially newsletters when we, updates to the town, snow days, parking bans, that type of thing. Things that we need to get announcements out to a wide array of people. So I want to thank Dave, who's here, for helping us out, and Morgan at Town Hall for helping us get this constant contact thing up and running. So sign up for the mailing list.
What was that text number again?
8828.
88.
Or no, excuse me, 22828.
22828.
22828. And if you go to portlandct.org, there's a link, it's the first thing you see. So,
Think you can kind of maybe run it in the River East too?
oh yeah, no, we're gonna get that out.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I want people, because, this was one of the things that would have been really helpful back over the winter when we had those COVID test kits that we were distributing. A way to reach, the residents of Portland quickly about updates and things that they should know about. This has been something that we've wanted to do, and now we have a tool to do it. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think it's a long time coming, and it'll be a good tool for us to stay in contact and inform Portland residents. So as we talked about earlier, the senior center kitchen, the bid closes tomorrow. I think it's at 11 a.m. So I think Ryan or myself will be there with Tom as he opens the bids and goes through all that. We have officially, and I want to knock on wood, officially as of Monday, we have finally received we had an executed contract from the Department of Public Health, but now we do have the letter to proceed.
From the AG?
From the AG.
Wow.
So, and it was we waited all this time for an e-signature.
That's still fast for the AG.
So,
Yeah.
I attended and actually Ryan O'Halpin, we both attended the CCM conference yesterday, and GZA happened to be there as well. We met with Rich, who we're working with at GZA, who's going to be, spearheading this project. He's thrilled. We're excited to, get this going, and we're going to be we're scheduling a meeting within the next 2 weeks or so. So we're going to move really quickly on this now. So we got the green light, and it's all systems go here. So that's good news. It took a little bit longer, but that is good. The remediation work is continuing on Brownstone Avenue. We've been working with Ty and Bond on looking for clean fill to replace some of the contaminated contaminated soil that we took out of the site. And we do have a potential location. I was informed today that some of the soil sampling that we did at a potential site came back positive for, it's clean fill. So I think we'll be able to use this. We don't have a deal yet, but fingers crossed. It looks like we'll have some clean fill for that site, which is nice. So we don't have to look at other options. The plaque, I just want to let you know, for Ruth and Nunzi,
Yep.
That's been ordered. We went with a bronze casted plaque, which
nice.
it's nice. It's a much nicer plaque than, but it does. The catch is that it takes a little longer to make because of it. but it should be ready in 1 to 2 months. So but it's gonna be really nice. So we're looking forward to getting that.
Thank you.
And I think that, big announcement, obviously, is next Tuesday is Election Day in the state of Connecticut and the town of Portland. Polls are open from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. at the Portland Middle School located at 93 High Street. And absentee ballots are available now until Monday. Monday is the last day to get an absentee ballot in the town clerk's office. The deadline was yesterday to register to vote, but prior to the election. But here in Connecticut, we also have Election Day registration. So if you know anyone who's not registered to vote in the town, and they say, oh, I'd love to vote, but I missed my deadline to register, you can still go to the polls and register to vote and vote on Election Day. So that's something that, to keep in mind. We want a high turnout in Portland, and we do take our election seriously, and we want to hope to see everybody at the polls on Tuesday. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. There is going to be curbside voting for elderly or people in need that have a difficulty getting out of the car and that don't want to use absentee voting. They can go up there and just let one of the poll workers know that you want curbside voting, and a poll worker will come out to you with the ballot, and they'll do the whole registration thing there. So yeah, I think that is it for me.
Ryan,
Yep.
what was the turnout for the last midterms?
The last
Yeah.
I think in midterms or governor year races, we typically in Portland get around 62%, I want to say. So we do really well in the presidential races. We get, like last year we had
A great turnout.
almost 90%.
Yeah.
And then we go to 60 for midterms for the governor, and then we get about 40, 45 for municipal. So unfortunately,
For the
we're not quite
important
the
ones.
draw for but.
For the ones spending their taxes, we get the least amount.
I don't know. Maybe, be careful what you wish for, right? But, yeah. So, Ralph?
So, yeah, you certainly stole my thunder, but that's okay. I understand.
Less talking.
There's only two things I wanted to note then, because you covered everything else, but, just wanted to thank, the CERT team helped with parking
Yes.
on Saturday morning for the 5K, so I wanted to reach out and thank them. And the other event that we did have recently was the annual book sale at the library, which I've heard it did incredible, but I don't have any numbers yet. I'll find out, in the next week or so about numbers, but a thank you goes out to Public Works, because I know I walked the night before it started. I was in the Mary Flood room, and there was nothing but books in the Mary Flood room, and Public Works helped move all those books over, so shout out to those guys.
I thought of one more thing, something that we had talked, that you had asked for, Ralph. I did speak with Captain Millardo, and he will be attending our December 7th Board of Selectmen meeting to talk about security matters in executive session.
Thanks.
So that will be December 7th.
I just have one thing for you or Ralph. The park, Route 17 park, is that all checklist, everything finalized on that? Did we go through and everything was signed off over to us? And
As far as I know, right? I mean, the whole thing was, we cut the last check to them.
okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just haven't heard anything in a while, and I know
Yeah,
we
the
asked about.
bond's been closed on that. We were able to, and that's why we were able to do, the concession stand was open this summer because
Okay.
of that, and I know Little League has been looking at, various, I think they're talking about scoreboards and different things now, and for a while, we couldn't proceed because we were still waiting on those final payments to be made before we could move forward. But yeah, that has resolved, and the park is good.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned last time, the bathrooms have been winterized, the splash pad has been winterized. So right now, there's some portable toilets there now, you know, until we reopen again in the spring.
After everything was paid for and said and done, was there any excess money left, or do we have to pay any extra?
No, there's no
None.
money left.
Spent every single dollar.
Come on, it was 12 cents left over, just tell them, give it out, 12 cents.
12 cents.
Anything else under status reports? All right, we can move on to public comment. Anyone in the audience? Anyone on the chat? Okay, so we'll move back to Board of Selectmen general informal discussion. Does anyone have any topics?
I have one item, it harkens back to the trick or treat on Main, which was amazing. The volume of people was unbelievable. But I was approached by a handful of people that had some safety concerns. And I have a clarifying question. Was Concentric giving out candy? Only reason I ask is, somebody said they thought back in the day, before that other side of the street was involved, families would walk from Duncan and they'd walk up that side of the street. I was told that they were participating and that there were some, what looked like close calls with families and kids trying to cross Route 66.
They were participating.
They did participate. They used their lot for parking. I know that.
Yeah. Okay, that was my question. Now, I'm putting this out food for thought, because this seems to be growing, and it's gonna get larger. God forbid, you saw where I was I was over there by the Sling, and I saw a few cases where some straggling kids with families were coming across the street and there were a few beeping horns and some stuff going on. I don't know if you guys remember, many years ago, we had a block party in Main Street in the summer where we had the bed races and everything else. And when we did that, we closed off that section of Main Street. I can't recall if it was from Marlboro Street to
Freestone
to Fairview.
Fairview.
Right? And I'm just throwing this out there, food for thought. If this gets any larger for safety reasons, would that be something we would want to consider? That would open up the entire street and allow you to put additional businesses and tables anywhere along the stretch of street, and it would also give you some flexibility if you want to do something neat. Like when we did the haunted trail at the Brownstone Riverfront, remember the guys that were set up like Ghostbusters, and they had the ambulance that was set up just like it? They were free, as far as I know. So, it would allow you the ability to have some more flexibility and a little more safety. I wanted to throw that out there because I always remember coming across the bridge, coming home from work, and the families would be 12 deep going up from Dunkin' Donuts up the street. But when somebody said that they were crossing Route 66 to get down under the bridge, I got a little nervous. So I think it's something we should maybe think of.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but what's a state
Fire
permit
chief
if a
can
child
always
gets
close
hit by a
the
car?
No, I just.
You know?
Yeah, but we have talked about that. There's been discussions about potentially doing something like that, closing Main Street. I know the Economic Development Commission's talked about it. They were thinking about doing some type of event. I think they were talking in the spring, in May or June, and so we have talked about it. We've talked with Dan Beret, our planner, about what that would entail. And obviously, we'd have to work with Ryan here about and the state. We'd have to get state approval to do that. It's certainly possible. I do agree. I think and if not that, an increased police presence for crossing, I think would definitely. You're right. There's a lot of people.
And as we're talking about it now, I'm thinking when Brainerd Place is up and running and there's other businesses there, suddenly the traffic area is going to expand again. You know, and it just, when somebody brought that up, I thought, oh my God, I hadn't even thought of that angle. Both going across Route 66, 2 lanes of traffic, so.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, I mean, I was out there, you know, giving out candy, and I did see some cars, you know, traveling pretty fast
Yeah.
for all those kids, and so that's something that, you know, I think it's worth looking into, John, yeah.
Just food for thought.
Yeah.
We got, now we've got the whole year to think about it, so. That's all I had.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Wow. I'm gonna move quick then, before anybody changes their mind. I don't have anything,
No.
I don't have anything for follow-up items, tonight, so I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.